in the Padma Purana. Number 1, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Number 2, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scripture in pursuance to the Vedic version. 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6, to give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritual activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instruction on this matter. It is also an offense to be net into while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining the Bhakti Sangha conference call today. Let us move to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all have joined the call this morning?
हरे कृष्ण वर्धना माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीति दासी from Charlotte. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna Preeti Mataji, Dandavats Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna Vardhana Mataji.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Vardhana Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devi Dasi from Texas. All glories to your service, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavats Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vardhana Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. And all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Megha from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Megha Mataji, Dandavats Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vardhana Mataji, all glories to the Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devi Dasi from Radha.
Hare Krishna Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavats Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा वरदना माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय. This is Shyamagori Devi Dasi from Charlotte, and thank you so much for your wonderful service, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Shyamagori Mataji, Dandavats Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call and giving us all the services, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I really appreciate. I just want to tell everybody that the beautiful posters we see every day on Bhakti Sangha with the name, speaker's name and picture and everything is made by Vardhana Mataji.
Hari Bol. And Vardhana Mataji is right now driving and she's doing her service. All glories to herself.
Yes, she is going to the temple, right?
Yeah, somewhere Mataji, maybe kids classes or something. That's why she's driving. That's why she couldn't on her video. And thank you, Mataji, for your wonderful service.
Is anybody else would like to introduce themselves?
Mataji has not joined yet, right? Yeah, she had joined, Mataji. Can see that.
Okay. Can we start recording, Mataji?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mataji, I will start. Give me a second. I gave her co-host. I'll be starting the recording. Record to the cloud. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, welcoming all of you to the Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have Vrajesvari Pran Mataji. Mataji is giving first time class in Bhakti Sangha. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanraj Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call and giving us your valuable association. Mataji is going to cover the chapter, Canto 6, chapter 17, verse number 9. Hare Krishna Mataji, please take out the call, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we have introduction from Suresh Shyam Prabhu. Suresh Shyam Prabhu.
Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam. So here is a brief introduction about Vrajesvari Pran Devi Dasi. He is a disciple of His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj and has been practicing Krishna consciousness for more than a decade. Mataji is a Bhakti Shastri. Mataji is Bhakti Shastri certified and also completed all 3 levels of ISKCON teacher training courses. She is currently pursuing Bhakti Vaibhava. She has served as a Sunday school teacher for many years. She has interest in Shastric studies and gives Bhagavatam classes on a regular basis to local congregation. By profession, Mataji is a nurse practitioner and works as a program manager in a clinical setting of a hospital. She is based in St. Louis with her family. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam. Back to you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Mataji, please take out the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. I would like to thank Shyama Gauri Mataji first for giving me this opportunity for this service. This is the first time I'm speaking in this forum. And I also like to thank all the coordinators for the Bhakti Sangha Japa group. Am I audible, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, it is perfect.
Thank you. And I have a PowerPoint to share. Do I have sharing access?
Yes. Mataji, already I gave you co-host. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mataji. We'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Yasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavate uttama shlokir bhakti bhavati naistiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha. Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees, let me share my screen. The verse for discussion today is Canto 6, chapter 17, verse number 9. Can one of you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, Mataji, we can see that.
Thank you. We'll recite the verse first. Shri Shuka Uvacha Bhagavan api takshrutvā prahasyāgāda dirnirpā dushnim babhuva sadasi sabayascha tat anuvrataha. Shri Sukha Uvacha Bhagavan api takshrutvā prahasyāgāda dirnirpā dushnim babhuva sadasi sabayascha tat anuvrataha. Let's read the word by word translation. Shri Shuka Uvacha, Shri Sukadev Goswami said, Bhagavan, Lord Shiva, api, also, tat, that, Shrutva, hearing, Prahasya, smiling, Agada, Agada Dihi, whose intelligence is unfathomed, Nirpa, O king, Dushnim, silent, Babhuva, remained, Sadasi, in the assembly, Sabhaya, everyone assembled there, Cha and Tat Anuvrataha, followed Lord Shiva, remained silent. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Srila Sukadev Goswami continued, my dear king, after hearing Chitraketu's statement, Lord Shiva, the most powerful personality whose knowledge is fathomless, simply smiled and remained silent. And all the members of the assembly followed the Lord by not saying anything. Let's read the translation one more time. Srila Sukadev Goswami continued, my dear king, after hearing Chitraketu's statement, Lord Shiva, the most powerful personality whose knowledge is fathomless, simply smiled and remained silent. All the members of the assembly followed the Lord by not saying anything. Purport. Chitraketu's purpose in criticizing Lord Shiva is somewhat mysterious and cannot be understood by a common man. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, however, has made the following observations. Lord Shiva, being the most exalted Vaishnava and one of the most powerful demigods, is able to do anything he desires. Although he was externally exhibiting the behavior of a common man and not following etiquette, such actions cannot diminish his exalted position. The difficulty is that a common man, seeing Lord Shiva's behavior, might follow his example, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 3:21, yet acharati shretas tat eva tharo janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tat anuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. A common man might also criticize Lord Shiva like Daksha, who suffered the consequences for his criticism. King Chitraketu desired that Lord Shiva sees his external behavior so that others might be saved from criticizing him and thus becoming offenders. If one thinks that Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the only perfect personality, whereas the demigods, even such demigods such as Lord Shiva, are inclined to improper social affairs, he's an offender. Considering all this, King Chitraketu was somewhat harsh in his behavior with Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, who is always deep in knowledge, could understand Chitraketu's purpose. And therefore, he was not at all angry. Rather, he simply smiled and remained silent. The members of the assembly surrounding Lord Shiva could also understand Chitraketu's purpose. Consequently, following the behavior of Lord Shiva, they did not protest. Instead, following their master, they remained silent. If the members of the assembly thought that Chitraketu had blasphemed Lord Shiva, they would certainly have left at once, blocking their ears with their hands. Om Jnanatinmirandasya Jnananjana Shalatya Sakshurun Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachata Desadharini. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, so we will begin our discussion. I have a small PowerPoint that I would like to share. I picked up two themes from this verse. One is we will discuss something about aparat, offense, and the next one is criticism or correcting others. Because I know it's this forum, every day you have been hearing one verse, so most of the things already may be covered. So I thought we'll dive deep into aparat and criticism of devotees. It is also very important to understand the context before we get into the actual discussion. Because if we understand the context, who is speaking, to whom the verse is been spoken, and in what situation the verse is spoken, we can appreciate the verse better, and we can understand the essence of the verse. So let me share my PowerPoint now. All right. Can you all see my slides now?
Yes, Mataji, we can see that.
Thank you, Mataji. So the context is few chapters before, Vritrasura fought with Indra, and in the battlefield, the demon Vritrasura exhibited devotional qualities. And at the end of the battle, after a long time, Indra kills Vritrasura. So then hearing this from Sukadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj is asking Sukadev Goswami out of wonder, how is that a demon is in, a devotee in the demon body? So now Sukadev Goswami is explaining Vritrasura was King Chitraketu in his previous life, and how he became Vritrasura, why he got killed, and how he goes back to Godhead. That's a sequence. So this pastime is a beautiful pastime, and it has a lot of events. And our acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada, has given us a beautiful commentary and purport for us to understand, appreciate, and learn a lot of practical lessons from each event. Because if we didn't have this purport of our acharyas and Prabhupada, we may be misunderstanding all these events too. How come Parvati can sit on Lord Shiva's lap in the assembly? How come Chitraketu, who is lower than Lord Shiva, junior in one sense, can criticize Lord Shiva like this? How come Mother Parvati can get angry and curse Chitraketu? How come Lord himself arranged for him to become a demon? It's all like, we can be misunderstand all these events. But with the Acharya's purport, each one, everything has a beautiful lessons, beautiful significance behind it. So Chitraketu was a king of the Surasena province, and he was ruling nicely, and he had 10 million wives, not for sense gratification, to have a son. But unfortunately, he did not have a son. And then Angira Rishi, by the grace of Angira Rishi, he did a sacrifice and gave him the nectar. So he had 10 million wives. So he gave it to one wife, his best favorite wife, Kritaduti. And then eventually she had a son. So the other queens were neglected by Chitraketu, King Chitraketu, because he was more, he was attached to now the queen who had the son. So they became envious. So 10 million minus one wife became envious. And then out of envy, they lost the intelligence and they poisoned the baby. And the baby dies. At that time, I'm making it very short to come to this verse to give the context. At that time, Narada Muni, along with Angira Rishi, come to Chitraketu. And they enlighten him with the spiritual wisdom, the temporary nature of this world, temporary nature of relationship. It was a critical moment, but that's appropriate time to give it spiritual wisdom. So Chitraketu, heart transforms, or he understands. Before leaving, Narada Muni also gives a mantra to King Chitraketu, Shankarshan mantra. And chanting that Shankarshan mantra, within a week, King Chitraketu directly have darshan of Lord Sankarshana. And then Lord Shankar, it's arrangement of the Lord Shankarshana that he does not want Chitraketu to be just to be in the material for a long time. He wants him to be back in the spiritual world as soon as possible. So it was the arrangement of the Lord that Chitraketu has to criticize Lord Shiva, and Chitraketu has to get cursed by Mother Parvati and become a demon and get killed by Indra and go back to Godhead and in one lifetime. So we may be wondering, like, wow, that That's the arrangement of the Lord. But why a human and a king body to a demon body? It sounds like, degraded birth. Why that arrangement? Because Chitraketu, Lord wanted Chitraketu to get rid of all the karmas, just nullify exactly everything. And then also Chitraketu had a tinge of pride in his heart because he had a direct darshan of Sankarshan. And he was favored by Lord Sankarshan. So he had a little tinge of pride in his heart. So the Lord wanted to nullify all the karma and all the, and purify him of any pride so he can come back. Because if we have any pride or anything, we cannot enter the spiritual world. Sometimes, because Krishna is supremely pure, he's like a sun. And if you have to enter the sun, you have to become a fire. So imagine how much purification we need in order to enter the spiritual world. So sometimes we go through difficulties, difficulties is for mostly purification. We may not see it at that same time, difficulties in the sense of health issues, difficulties in, relationship issues, many things. So when difficulties comes, sometimes we direct our attention to solving the issue. Of course, that's needed. We have to take care of the issue and come up with some solutions so we can keep going. But at the same time, we have to see outside the box. Okay, so why am I put into this difficulty? So most of the time, Krishna is making some arrangement. It's Krishna's mercy that he wants us to get purified so we can get closer to him. Sometimes he may put us in a difficulty to make us detached from this material. Sometimes the difficulties or circumstances will help us to get attached to him, take more shelter of his lotus feet. So that's a way, because if you look at this, it is Lord's protection, even though it was a degraded birth, demon birth, because his consciousness, Chitraketu's, in the Vritrasura body, his consciousness was protected completely by the Lord. He was glorifying the Lord. Let me take birth as a servant of the servant. So he was glorifying the Lord. His consciousness was protected, even though the body seems like a degraded body. For example, if you take a pastime of Bharat Maharaj, one may wonder, wow, Bharat Maharaj renounced everything. He went to the forest. He reached the bhava stage. And then he got attached to the deer. And then he took a birth as a deer body. But then we may think, wow, what is the point of doing all those spiritual practices, reaching up to bhava stage, and then he fell down to animal body? It's not like that, because Krishna was protecting him. Because what did King Bharat Maharaj do? It's okay to have attraction or affection to the deer, but in the name of affection, he was slackening in his spiritual practices. And he was getting more attached and slackening in his spiritual practices. So this is Lord's arrangement for him to take a deer birth again, but his consciousness was protected. He didn't forget the Lord. As soon as he was born as the deer, he left his deer family and went to the forest and roamed around the sages. And he heard Krishna Katha. And then he left the body. Then he took a birth in a Brahmana family, self-realized soul as Jada Bharat. So Krishna's protection. This Canto 6 itself it's mainly focuses on Poshana, which is Krishna's protection to his devotees. So the context is, even though it is not an offense what Chitraketu made to Lord Shiva, it's already mentioned in the previous verses, he was not an offender. Because if you have to offend somebody, you have to have a bad motives. But Chitraketu did not have a bad motive. His motive was good. Internally, he thought of many things. One, Lord Shiva is an exalted personality, and he's doing this as a common man in the public, having a intimate interaction with his wife, having her on the lap. So he thought if common men sees that, they'll misunderstand Lord Shiva for his etiquette, and they defame him sometime. And then because of defaming Lord Shiva, they'll become offenders. So to protect the common men also, he does not want Lord Shiva to get defamed. So his intention was good. His mood was good. But the way he presented, he laughed. He said it in a harsh or heavy way. He was very fearless. He was just very confident. And the words he was spoken was, even though he glorified Lord Shiva, but then the words were kind of unpleasant. So that is our Acharya is right, because he had the pride in his heart, because he had the favor of Lord Shankarshan. He thought he can control senses more than Lord Shiva. And that's the reason he spoke out like that pride. If you see Lord Shiva also, Lord Shankarshan as devotee. But in the position wise, he's exalted. He's more than Chitraketu. So he should have not spoken like that. So anyway, that's the background. But Lord Shiva, because he has so deep knowledge, he was able to understand the intention of Chitraketu, and he left the assembly without saying anything. And the followers also followed him, or the sages who assembled. They did not even say anything. They were not offended. And then in the future verses, how Mother Parvati get angry and curse, we that discussion will go on, but we won't go in that today. So for the discussion's sake today, even though it's not aparat, we are going to talk about a little bit about aparat. So for our understanding's sake, how it's not aparat, what he did. So aparat means offense. Apa means against, radha means devotion. So aparat means an act against devotion, or it is an act that stops the devotion. So if we make an offense, that stops our devotion, it gets checked. So literally it means to withdraw from worship. So if we insult or offend any devotees, it will distance us from our devotional practice. Because Radha is a worship. Through Radha only we worship and serve Krishna, right? So if we offend somebody, which is aparadha, means we are distancing ourselves from our devotional service. That's what aparadha definition means. There are different types of aparadha, seva aparadha. Seva is like when you do deity worship, there's a long list of offenses we can make. It's listed in Nectar of Devotion. Jana aparadha is aparadha or offense to the living entities, common living entities. It's slaughtering the animals, speaking harsh to living beings. All that comes under Jana aparadha. It's Jana aparadha not only for devotees, it is for non-devotees also. We have to maintain that offenless mentality and activity for all the living beings, because everybody is part and parcel of Krishna, and we cannot offend anybody, and Krishna will not be pleased with that. So Jana aparadha is offense to living entities. Nama aparadha is the offense that we must safeguard against chanting the holy name. And we read that in the morning program, 10 offenses that we must avoid during chanting of the holy name. And then finally, Vaishnava aparadha is the offense to the devotees. So if you see all this aparadha, the most dangerous or serious one is Nama aparadha and Vaishnava aparadha. Why? The Seva aparadha and Jana aparadha can be rectified by chanting the holy name of the Lord. But Prabhupada says that, okay, because you can rectify it, don't keep on making offense and then say that I'm chanting, that will be rectified. That'll be greatest offense. So the Seva aparadha and Jana aparadha can be rectified by just simply chanting the holy name of the Lord. But Nama aparadha and Vaishnava aparadha are more serious. And out of all, Vaishnava aparadha is more dangerous, more serious, more severe. So we'll see why. So there's different categories of Vaishnava aparadhas. So one can offend somebody by body, speech, or words, or in mind. One, body, of course, it's obviously very serious type. Speech or words, it's also serious, but less serious than the physical offense. And then the least serious is mind. But everything is dangerous. These are the 6 types of offenses mentioned in Skanda Purana that one can possibly make to Vaishnava. To kill, obviously, when we kill, it's going to destroy our creeper, our bhakti creeper. So physical offenses, physical violence is worse than anything. So that's obvious. Next one is to blaspheme. So that's by words, calling names and speaking very harshly about them. Speaking lies of him, those are considered as blasphemy. To be envious and hateful. If we are envious of some devotee, that is a big offense too. Like sometime, we became envious and we don't want to be in their presence. or we don't want them there, want their presence. That's and then we have ill feeling in our heart and we hate them in our heart. That is also an offense to Vaishnava. And to not glorify a Vaishnava is also an offense. So for example, you notice somebody doing some service, very nice garland, very nice bhoga offering, nice distribution. They have a lot of qualities. They have tolerance. They are very honest. You are noticing some good qualities, Vaishnava qualities. And you have to respect that. You need to glorify that. We don't want to artificial or fake, glorify. But if you notice genuinely some quality, just glorify them. And that will please Krishna. But you notice that, but you don't want to glorify because you have some ill feeling about it. So that is also an offense. To be angry with the Vaishnava, like showing some, like an outburst of anger, that is also a big offense. It is, again, sometime, depending upon the position, it has to be, the senior have to show some angry mood towards them, but it has to be shown in a constructive way. And it has to have some good intention behind it, not out of, envy or something. So, sorry. And then the last one is to not be happy upon seeing some devotees. That's, when we are in the presence of somebody, but we don't, we're not happy they are there. That is also an offense. So these are the offenses that, the reason we need to know this, we may not know all this, like, okay, to be angry, they did something wrong and I'm angry in my mind. So what is it? That is an offense. So we have to be careful. So then we can ask, how do I know I'm making an offense? Because we may not know all the details of offense, or unknowingly, unconsciously, we may be making offenses. So how do I know that I am making an offense? So it says in the scriptures, the symptom is, if we have a little taste for chanting, take it for granted that we are making offense. So that may include a lot of us. I'm sorry to say that. We are all struggling, right? We are all struggling to get some taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord. So if you're struggling, we don't have a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord, that means some form of other, we are making offense to something. Seva Parad, Jana Parad, Nama Parad, Vaishnava Parad. So, so how do we know we are not making offense? When we reach to the point that we are chanting purely Shuddha Nama, that means that we are not making an offense. Prabhupada says in Canto 2, Chapter 3, one of the verse, the purport says, if our heart is still framed, and in spite of chanting the holy name with concentration, but the heart is not getting transformed, we're not feeling the taste, the ecstasy is not taking place, and we are not having tears, we are not having that ecstasy, he's saying that means take it for granted, we are committing one or more or all of the offenses. So, it's just the fact, we have to accept it, because we may be thinking, I know I am not making any offense, I'm trying to be careful. But we are in some form of other if you don't have taste for chanting. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu compared the offense, the aparadh, to the mad elephant, Hati Mata. Why? You do years of devotional services, a lot of sadhana. You inspire so many devotees to come to Krishna consciousness, and a lot of book distribution, a lot of preaching, years, like tens of years, 25, 30 years of services you do. But then if you make one offense, that will destroy all that. So I am using the word destroy, but I'll come to that later. It's compared to a mad elephant. Why? You take years of preparing your garden. You put all the seeds, water them, pull out the weeds, and fence and all that, and then you make a beautiful garden. And it takes some time. But if you let the mad elephant go inside the garden, how long it takes? Maybe a few seconds, all gone, right? That's the way. If you're bhakti creeper, you nurture it so nicely for so many years, but then you make offense, those all will be destroyed. But then one may ask, devotional service or bhakti cannot be destroyed, right? So if you finish 10% in this lifetime, you start from 11% next lifetime. The 10% comes with you. How is it getting destroyed by offense? So it is not exactly getting destroyed. So for example, you take an example of an account, any account you have, and the account get locked. Whatever details in the account is there, it's not deleted. But when the account is locked, you cannot access it, right? Similarly, when we do all the devotional practice, you accumulate all the spiritual assets, spiritual credit, it's in the account. But when we make the offense, it get locked, it gets checked. The mercy, the strength that you get from all that activities you get stops, hampered. And then you cannot make further progress. That's what it means. So we have to really safeguard against Vaishnava aparadha, because it's really an impediment to obstruct our devotional path. So, for example, you have a big number, like, in lakhs or in millions, but you multiply that number with a zero, it becomes zero, valueless. So the same way, Vaishnava aparadha, Vaishnava offense, if you make, that's compared to the zero. Like, and then you multiply that with all the spiritual asserts you have, it becomes valueless. So that's an analogy. So now we learned, okay, so what are the different types of aparadha and what's the danger? So what do we do now? So Vaishnava aparadha cannot be atoned by any means. Chanting more rounds and, doing a lot of austerities, and you cannot atone, or visiting holy places. You cannot atone Vaishnava aparadha by any means except begging forgiveness at the feet of the offended Vaishnava. So example, we all know the famous example of Durvasa Muni. He was a mystic yogi, but he offended Ambrish Maharaj, who was the householder. Because he offended him by words, he offended him by physically going to hurt him by a demon. So Lord, Sudarshan Chakra came and killed the demon and started chasing Durvasa Muni for a year. And he went to Brahma. Brahma couldn't protect him. He went to Shiva. Shiva couldn't protect him. He even went to Lord Vishnu. Vishnu couldn't protect him. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say in Chaitanya Bhagavatam that I can give you instruction how to eliminate, how to avoid offenses. But once you make it, even though I'm a Supreme Lord, I cannot do anything. You have to go to the offended Vaishnava. So finally, Durvasa Muni comes and, beg forgiveness at the feet of Ambrish Maharaj. Then he was saved. Then he was protected. So that's the only means. So in this verse, the purport Prabhupada writes that the sages did not get offended, because if they would have got offended, they would have closed their ears and walked away, because they cannot hear blaspheming some devotee. So sometimes it's we just take it easy. If somebody's talking about some devotee, which is not relevant to us at all, but we are in the conversation, we just rationalize, I just heard it because they were speaking. No, we have to avoid those conversations. It's also a big offense. So when somebody is blaspheming some Vaishnava, either directly or through mails or social media, whatever, first one, in scripture, it says 3 things we can do. One, we can stop them by giving an argument and the higher reason, if we are able to. Sometimes we are not able to, right? So in that case, if we are not expert to do that, we have to give up their life on the spot. Like when Mayavadi sannyasis were blaspheming Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he's a sentimentalist, he doesn't study Vedas, he just dance and chant. And the followers, the close associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Mahaprabhu and said, we want to just give up our life hearing that. Just Mahaprabhu, please do something. So first is stop the argument. Second, give up the life. If you cannot do that, just leave the place. We leave the place. We don't indulge in those kind of conversation. So then I just have this for just some discussion today. Is sin serious or offense is serious? Just to show the offense is more serious. Because if we have done some sins or we are going through some sinful reaction now, because of that, we are not able to progress in Krishna consciousness, we can eliminate that by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But if we make the offense, even our Krishna conscious, our bhakti itself get hampered. So offense is more serious. Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami machusaha. He's saying that just surrender unto me, I'll get rid of all the sinful reactions. He can do that. But once you make the offense, whatever bhakti you have nurtured is going to get hampered. So that's more serious. So for example, in Jagai Matai case, they are the most sinners. They have done all the sins possible in the world. But when they physically assaulted Lord Nityananda, Matai especially, he's the one threw that clay pot on the head of Lord Nityananda. So when Matai did that, the physical assault to Lord Nityananda, Jagai stopped him to prevented him from going further assaults. And because of that reason, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered him first. Jagai was delivered. He forgave him. But Mathai was not, because of the offense. Because they have done all the sins. That was forgiven. And Jagai stopped Mathai, so he was also forgiven. But Mathai was not. Until Mathai went to Lord Chaitanya and begged for forgiveness. So offense is very serious, more than sin. So I have a couple of pastimes that I want to say, the graveness of the offense. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted his mother Sachi Devi, to take forgiveness at the feet of Advaita Acharya. He said, unless my mother asks for forgiveness at the feet of Advaita Acharya, she will not get love of Krishna. Why? Because Mother Sachi Devi she made some offense in her mind. Because Vishwarupa, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's elder brother, took sannyas and he went away from home. And Mother Sachi Devi thought it's the influence of Advaita Acharya, because he was going to Advaita Acharya's house, doing kirtan, sankirtan and hearing classes and everything. So Mother Sachi Devi thought, it's out of natural motherly affection. She thought maybe Advaita Acharya influenced my son. That's what he meant like that. That was just a natural thought it came. But Mahaprabhu was very heavy. He said, until you take the forgiveness from Advaita Acharya, the love of Godhead will not happen in your heart. You will not get the mercy of Krishna. And Mother Sachi Devi said, no, how can I ask for forgiveness from Advaita Acharya? He regards me as mother, because I'm your mother. He regards me as his mother. How can I go and ask for forgiveness at his feet? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made some arrangement. He said, I will show some super excellent potencies, and he'll get ecstasy, and he'll fall and pay obeisances. And that time, without his knowledge, you ask for forgiveness. And that's what happened. And then Mahaprabhu said, now my mother's offense at the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya has been rectified. She may have love of Krishna without difficulty. So you see the grave of the offense. If you want love of Krishna, we have to be offenseless. Even Prabhupada, before his departure in the last day of his in the material world, he asked forgiveness to his god brothers, because he said, if I have made any insults to kindly forgive me. Because sometime Prabhupada points out in his preaching that some of his god brothers deviated from the instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta, their spiritual master. So Prabhupada himself asked for that. And the god brother said, no, you did not make any offense. You did that because out of love for Guru and Krishna. So if we do out of some, if it's out of love for Guru and Krishna, the motive underneath is love, it's okay. But the motive is jealous, bad motives underneath, and we are making something comments, that's offense. And even Rupa Goswami, that's a beautiful one of the pastime. Rupa Goswami was sitting and meditating once. And in the meditation, those Goswamis, they can even participate in the pastime of Radha Krishna. So, he was observing the part, Radha Krishna pastime. Radharani was being decorated by gopis, and Krishna was standing in the back watching them. And gopis know that Krishna is there watching them, so they were having fun. But Radharani did not know. And after all the decoration was over, they brought the mirror to Radharani to look at her, have her look at her. And when she looked at the mirror, she saw Krishna in the back. And then all of them, gopis and everybody, burst into laughter. And Rupa Goswami was meditating on that. He was observing. He was also there, kind of. And he also burst into laughter at that time. And when he was doing that, there was a Vaishnava came to see him. And he's a lame person, like a disabled person, so he cannot walk properly. So the time he came and Rupa Goswami burst into laughter just coincided. And the Vaishnava got offended. Like, oh, maybe Rupa Goswami is laughing at me. And he left the place. As soon as that Vaishnava thought like that, Rupa Goswami's meditation just like that broke. And he was feeling so bad. What happened? Why my meditation broke just like that? Then he also understood, I must have made some offense. That's what had happened. And that Vaishnava went to Sanatana Goswami and explained what happened. And Sanatana Goswami understood, maybe Rupa Goswami was going through some meditation. That's what had happened. And the same time, Rupa Goswami also came. And then this Vaishnava asked forgiveness to Rupa Goswami because he offended him. That's the reason his meditation broke. And Rupa Goswami also asked for forgiveness. So, excuse me, what is here? Holding for a few minutes, I think. I'll be right back. I have to turn off that. Sorry about that. So let's move on. So also, if we abstract some activities of a Vaishnava, that is also an offense. The example is Saubari Muni. Saubari Muni is a mystic yogi, and he's very known for doing a lot of austerities under the water, years and years of austerities. But just seeing the couple of fishes mating, he got distracted, and he couldn't, and then he had to, get married and go in the material life. Then one may ask, what is the point of all the austerities he done? He did not have any strength from that. So the reason is because one time when he was meditating under the water, Garuda came to eat fish, because for Garuda, that's a natural food. And unnecessarily, this Saubari Muni gave protection, shelter, gave protection to the fishes. And that disappointed Garuda. That is an offense. And that's the reason that he has to fall down. And then all the austerities that he had done was not helpful at that time for him. He couldn't control himself. So if we abstract any activities of a Vaishnava, that is also an offense. In Kali Yuga, they say it's okay to have, offense in the mind. If you think of some offense, it's okay because it won't have any reaction. Of course, that's true. But then in the name of that, we don't want to have an ill feeling or bad thoughts about others. Because eventually, if we have that critical thoughts and ill feeling about others constantly, and we are storing it there, one day or other, it's going to manifest in our action and speech, and that'll become offense again. So it's better not to have any ill feelings towards anybody. So what are the dangers? It's a kind of summary of what we discussed. When we make offense, one of the danger is punishment is for sure. Unless we repent and rectify. The example is when dacoits were trying to injure or assault Jada, goddess Kali came and punished them, right? And then next one is it spoils all our spiritual assets. We already talked about it. For time being, we won't have access to our spiritual assets. Our progression of our spiritual life will be checked. And then no protection from anyone. Durvasa Muni, he ran life after life after life. It's not life after life, like one person to other person to other person. And don't think that the offense will go away when we leave this body. No, it comes with us unless we rectify in this lifetime. For example, Daksha, when he offended Lord Shiva, he lost his head and they got a goat head. They gave him a goat head. He was morose, he repented, but his heart was not purified. His heart was not transformed. In the next life also, when he became Daksha, when he was born as a Daksha, he offended Narada Muni again. So even the next life also offense comes with us. So we must rectify. And then the Lord will not excuse. Although devotees are very compassionate, Ambrish Maharaj, example, he was very compassionate. He was a king. When Durvasa Muni was trying to, attack him, or he could have done something in back, but he didn't. Because he was a devotee. He was very compassionate. He can, devotees can excuse, will excuse, but Lord will not excuse. And the offenses can attract curses, like Chitraketu, because of the criticism. Of course, it's Lord's arrangement, but still, it can attract curses. And failure at every step when we make offense. Like the example is, when demigods offense their guru, Vrajesvari, they were failure, one after other, and then they have to go back and get help. Right? So failure at every step. So that's the dangers of offense. It's only a small list. It can be more. And then what are the causes? Why we make offense? Mostly it's pride, envy, anger. And then we have a lot of material contaminations. And then sometimes ignorance dacoits. They were offending Jada because they are out of ignorance they did. Pride of opulence, Indra. He had a lot of opulence. So he got pride and offended his guru, Vrajesvari. Pride of position, Raghugana. King Raghugana offended Jada because he was thinking, I'm a king. So that's a pride of position. Envy and anger is Daksha, a prime example. So that's a cause of offense. So now rectify, we already discussed. The only way to rectify it is seek forgiveness, the same devotee, and render service to them and please them. So first we must condemn ourselves, repent, and we must accept the reaction. In case of Lord Brahma, when he offended Krishna, took all his coward boyfriends, when he came for asking forgiveness, he said, I deserve punishment, but I also deserve forgiveness because you are my father. But in the case of Indra, Govardhan Leela, even though he came for asking forgiveness, his heart was not ready to take punishment. He wanted forgiveness, but not punishment. So accept reaction and punishment, offer obeisances and request forgiveness. Don't hold back. Don't hesitate to go and ask forgiveness to a devotee when we know that we made offense. Sometimes we may think that we have not offended them, but they may think that they may get hurt. In that case also, we have to go and ask, because the devotees, Vaishnava is hurt and we were the cause. So let's ask forgiveness. We can remove the thorn with the thorn. It's a verse from Chaitanya Bhagavat. So if we if we made some offense by using our mouth, ask forgiveness using our mouth. Remove the thorn using the thorn. So sometime we say, okay, unknowingly I made something, or unconsciously, I don't even know if I made offense or not. So that's what we chant this Vaishnava Pranam mantra. Vancha kalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhube evacha paditanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavas are so compassionate. So they're like a desire tree. So forgive. Ask for forgiveness by chanting that mantra. So the best way to avoid offenses, be happy with all the devotees in a respectful way towards all the devotees. Maintain a happy, respectful relationship. And then have a habit of appreciating others. For some devotees, appreciation just like that comes. They don't have to cultivate the habit. Anything they see, even a small service, big service, they automatically appreciate, glorify. But even if you don't have that habit, like cultivate the habit of appreciating, that clears our heart of envy, any ill feeling. And always be in the mood of a servant. Look everybody as Krishna's part and parcel, and be in the mood of service and see how we can please them. And it's also important that we want to avoid offenses, but at the same time, don't get offended also easily. If somebody come and say something, don't get offended. Then our life will go on with that. Only keep on offense and offending. So we want to be Krishna conscious, not offense conscious always. I'm trying to avoid offense so I can be okay, safe. We want to be Krishna conscious, not offense conscious, but we must take all precaution to avoid offenses. So next few slides I have is about correcting others. So especially in the situation of Chitraketu, how he was fearlessly, very confidently correcting Lord Shiva's behavior, even though his position was not as exalted as Lord Shiva. So what about us? Like, how do we do it? Correcting others. So there are some quotes. If we are a junior devotee, should not personally attempt to correct another devotee. And one may ask, how do we know who's senior and who's junior? It's based on their spiritual activities. So the junior person can reveal their heart to a senior devotee who they have a relationship with and they feel comfortable with, and get some advice to adjust the situation. But you don't directly go and try to correct the senior devotee. And then also harsh words and actions, we cannot use it. We should destroy the ignorance of the devotee, but not the devotee himself. If you use the harsh words and action, the devotee himself will get destroyed. So we have to be very careful how we use the words and action. Criticizing a pure devotee is a dangerous offense, and it can obstruct our advancement in Krishna consciousness. This is from Nectar of Instruction, verse 6. There's one more about giving advice and discipline. It is an offense to give advice to and to correct an empowered Vaishnava. This exactly happened. Lord Shiva is an empowered Vaishnava. And Chitraketu was trying to give advice and correct him. But if there is sometime there is a sincere and honest criticism is given, it's a simple thing, you're doing a morning service, doing alangar for Krishna, Radha Krishna deities. And the outfit and the turban and the flower combination, everything you select nicely. But somebody was coming and criticizing something, Mataji or Prabhu, this would have been a little better, combination of this was little, when I look at from there, accept it. Don't think, oh, I'm doing so many services and they are just simply commenting that. So as long as the motives behind the relationship between you and the other devotee is in a loving relationship and the motives are bad, we should accept some criticism, sincere criticism, and we should be grateful, not get upset. If you get upset, that's coming out of false ego. How can they say it? I am doing this, right? That's out of false ego. Finally, Prabhupada says in a letter to Gaurasundara Prabhu, if there is some incident and I claim that no one is cooperating with me and no one will work with me, that is my defect, not theirs. The Vaishnava devotee must think like this. We should not find fault with the others and criticize and go away. That is not the Vaishnava way. Better, we should always be willing to offer all respect to others and consider them as our superior always. So the defect lies within us. So whenever there's a situation like this, something happens, first, instead of blaming others, they did that, that's what I did this, I spoke this, they did that. First, try to look within ourselves. What can I do in service of them, in service of Krishna? How can I improve myself? Is it fault in me that I can correct myself? That's the way the Vaishnava should work. Work with ourselves first before blaming others. So that's my slides. The summary is of this is we talked about the context of this verse, how this verse comes into play in Sukadeva Goswami speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, and Chitraketu's criticism and correcting behavior, correcting mentality of Lord Shiva, unpleasant way. As a consequences, and Lord Shiva lead the assembly, followers lead the assembly, they don't get offended because they have a deep knowledge. And for that, we talked about aparadh, what is aparadh and how it's dangerous, the consequences of aparadh and why we make aparadh and how to avoid it, and then corrective behavior, how we can deal with the devotees. And that is end of the discussion today. I would like to thank all the devotees who joined today. Also, all the coordinators of this forum for giving me opportunity to speak today and for the service. If there is any comments, we can take for a few minutes. We have 6 minutes left. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for a wonderful class, Mataji. It is the big thing that we always go through this aparadhas.
I see hands raised. If one of you want to unmute and speak.
Actually, Vardhana Mataji is speaking. Were you not able to hear that, Mataji? She was saying thank you for the class.
If
Mataji,
somebody is speaking, I cannot hear.
Oh, we are speaking actually.
We are
Mataji, can we write in the chat? Can you write in the chat, Mataji? We are speaking.
Is
like
it only
that?
me or I don't know. I'm not able to hear. I feel like somebody is speaking, but
yes, Mataji, maybe your speaker is off, Mataji.
I wrote in a chat box. Maybe she will check that. Let us wait.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. Thank you so much for
would
such
you
nice.
like me to log off and join Mataji? I don't know if my internet is bad. I'm not able to hear.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe you can say in the chat. Someone can write. No, yes, Mataji, like that. Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
I will leave and join.
Yeah.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Prabhuji, Mataji will join back. Then we will take your question.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, we could hear you, Mataji. Can you hear us?
Now I can hear you, Mataji.
Yeah, we were speaking actually at that time. Yeah, Vardhana Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much for a wonderful class, Mataji. It was related to everybody. These offenses we always do unknowingly, and we feel so much guilt. Yeah, so many devotees have questions, Mataji. Thank you so much. Preeti will ask me, Mataji. Please go ahead with your question, Mataji.
Oh, sorry. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the call and giving this very, very wonderful session. I just wanted to thank you. And that's all, Mataji. Thanks for I just wanted to appreciate the class. No questions. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you so much, Mataji. Alankar Prabhu, please go ahead, Prabhuji, with your question.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. Actually, most of these things are always, running in my mind, whether I'm doing it correctly or not. And one observation that I have from past experiences, sometimes what happens, Mataji, when I'm attending some Bhagavatam class or like online class, sometimes it is like a rapt attention, but uh, sometimes it also happens that I am into two other things in my thoughts and also attending the session. So is it also an aparadh? This is my first question.
So inattentiveness in the class or getting distracted in the class.
Yeah, because I want to gain out of it. I want to learn, but at the same time, I am into other things as well. It could be anything.
It just I don't think it is offense, Prabhu. You just have to prioritize. Okay, so am I going to sit in the class and listen, or am I having some service? How I'm going to, but unable to. So if I understood your question correct, you're not able to attend the class attentively. That we are all conditioned nature and our mind is all over the place. Our attention span is very short. By practice, you can improve, but that won't be considered as an offense to any Vaishnava, or it doesn't come under any other.
I was coming from a point where the speaker has allocated a time for you, and he is there for 1 hour, and is trying to give the best out of it. And as a listener, you are not that. I mean, as a person, I'm not obedient and not able to 100%, concentrate.
Yes.
So I was coming from that, because that Vaishnava is coming with lot of attention into that particular class, specifically preparing for that class. Like you have come here with the presentation, you must have dedicated some time for that. So it's my duty as a listener to attentively hear all what you say. And if I am attending, I should be 100% there. So that thing is always there in my mind. My second question was, like, during even during chanting, when I am into the group, it's like 16 rounds. If trying the 16 round, like most rounds, after some rounds there will be a lapse and then regain, then lapse or something. Mataji, how to overcome that, and how to be doing progressively with 16 rounds?
So the
Lord can be an aparadh also, is it? It's like an aparadh while there is a particular, like in the morning session, there will be a class, there will be a session for japa, and after some rounds there will be a lapse, or people are disjoining from that, and just seeing that I'm also tempted to that my japa is not, not that much fast, or something that those things unnecessarily come to my mind. How to overcome that and how to be attentive while doing that?
There can be a lot can be said about that. Everybody's different. Some cannot even chant with others because it distracts them. Hearing the others chanting, and they want to be in a separate room and chant. Some like to chant with the devotees, so it's different. But whatever works for us. Like, if you want to be in a room, lock yourself and have a sacred space for yourself and chant, that helps you without getting distracted. Or you want to join the call, seeing the other devotees seriously chanting and trying to attentively chanting, that motivates you, inspires you to chant. You can do that. It works, again, as I said, it's an individual way of doing it, whatever works. Morning time is best. Some people are able to do 16 rounds in one stretch. Some will do 8 rounds and then they do other services and then they come back to 8 rounds. But we do not recommend doing 1 round at a time and taking a break, because our mind is such a way that you do 1 round, you're trying to bring your mind to attention, and then your mind is slowly getting into that, attentive chanting, and then you break. And then you take a break and then start next round, and then you chant for some time, 1 round or 2 rounds, then you take a break. It doesn't work good. So at least you have set number of rounds that you do continuously, like 8 rounds at least, 1 stretch. Try to bring your mind. And then do some introspection. What is distracting me? Write it down. When I'm chanting, am I multitasking? Am I having my phone on? Turn off the phone and keep the phone in some other floor. What is exactly distracting me? And, write down those things and start working on that. That helps. So there are many tips can be given, but your situation, I'm just saying that, morning, chanting with the devotees, writing down the distraction that you are having and start working on it. Those all will help. So just a short answer for your question.
Thank you so much, Mataji. This really helps.
Thank you.
Dandavat pranam, Mataji.
Thank you so much for a wonderful answer, Mataji. Sukhakar Krishna Prabhu, please go ahead, Prabhuji, with your question.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. It was a fantastic class.
Hare Krishna.
The way you have written and brought the point was really good. You can kindly share those things. Everybody can benefit, whatever points you made. And I just have one point on that Alankar Prabhu, what you told, that you were asking if somebody is giving a class and I'm not properly giving time. So it is not an offense, but it's a loss. You have come all the way with so much of preparation for your class. And I'm trying to do some multitasking. Okay, I may be busy, but it is preferable that I keep a notebook and pen and note down point by point. So it is not offense. It is a losing because time is so precious. The time is the most important thing which you cannot replace. 1 minute gone is lost forever. And with so much $1 million, you can't get back. So I would suggest whoever comes, if possible, kindly give the full time. That then only they will benefit. But some people are so busy doing some other work and all, they can listen, but they are the losers. No offense is them, but they are the losers. Because if I listen to your cassette and video, I won't have that. Live thing is different from that. If live thing I listen, I can ask questions. So sorry, I'm trying to advise or something. Don't feel bad because this is what I am doing. Sometimes
Yes,
I am also
Prabhuji.
listening. Prabhu.
Thank you so
And
much.
another
Prabhuji.
about the chanting, you told about the group chanting, we all do. Don't think I am advising, I am perfect. I am also doing the same, but I am just telling how I am learning it. When others are chanting, we are chanting. We are what Mata is, sometimes we have seen WhatsApp and doing, and something we are planning what I have to do the next. Something in the office, we have to go and do this work. So many things we are keeping and chanting. So Srila Prabhupada said, just chant. Just chant means chant and listen. If you don't listen carefully, I'm telling for me, not for you. Don't think I'm a big advisor. If I don't listen, that is a Naam Aparat. So then we want to go from Naam Aparat to Nama Bhas to the Shuddha Naam. So what happened after 30 years also, I'm still the same thing because I'm in the Naam Aparat. I'm not listening. So first you have to listen carefully. That is attentive chanting. Second level is we should know that why we are chanting. Srila Prabhupada said that we are chanting to request Srimati Radharani that please give me some seva. It is a cry, it's a child's cry. So the second level is why we are doing. One is attentive chanting, other one is the assertive, and the third one is absorption chanting. So that is so high in the sense where you are totally meditating while we are chanting and then chanting and chanting and chanting, and you don't know where you are, but you are fully concentrated. So these are the 3 levels. So that is what. So don't think I'm advising, it's for me. First, Achar
Thank you so
and
much,
Prachar.
Prabhuji, for this.
Okay.
Wonderful suggestion.
And
thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Mataji, now one time what you were telling about this offenses and all, I was just hearing one lecture, and in that, if suppose somebody is dealing nice with us, suddenly for the last 2 weeks, they are just avoiding, not talking. And so the advice was that we should not react upon what happened. Why are you not talking to me? What is the problem? What did I do? We cannot react like that because you should know that Krishna knows everything and everything happening with Krishna's permission. Not even a leaf can move without Krishna's permission. So I should just keep quiet and think that, yes, I have done some offense. That's why Krishna want to clean my thing. And he is just a cleaning agent, he's an instrument. So we are not supposed to shout at him. We should thank him. Oh, Krishna, nice. Mataji, because you did not tell, but at least you feel in the mind, I have no offense. I know that Krishna wants to repair me. So I'm thankful to Krishna. I'm thankful to you. I'm praying for you that you came and saved me. And if possible, I should pay obeisance in the mind for the person who did it. This is what they told. So this is what I wanted to extend. Nothing else, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for sharing your thoughts. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
But it was also a wonderful class. There's nothing, it was so totally good. I want the notes because these things I can help others, myself and then others. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Suksakri Mataji, please unmute yourself and please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the beautiful class. Like everybody said, it was very, very thought-provoking. Mataji, my question is, sometimes we see these things like, devotees also have like friendly chats and also sometimes make jokes on others. And I mean, it could also be offensive. Like, are you able to throw some light on, this kind of jokes between Vaishnavas, where we should stop and what's the line we should not cross, like that, Mataji? There have been past incidents, with some devotees that, though the person said, hey, I was just joking, but like there were offenses. Some people felt hurt like that, Mataji. So are you please able to throw some light on this, Mata?
Sure, Mataji. So it depends on our relationship. It depends on the relationship between the two persons who are joking and who are receiving that joke. If the relationship is friendly and loving relationship, and then the other person is not going to get offended, and the person who's joking has a sense of humor, and that's the way they exchange, that's okay. But if the joke has underneath some motive, because they want, underneath that the relationship is not that intimate, but then they're joking in a way it's a sarcasm or the intention to hurt others. They may not have a gross intention, but there may be some subtle intention. In the name of joking, they hurt. That is an offense. It's like a blasphemy. So again, the question is, it again depends, Mataji. It depends on the relationship, depends on the intention and motive behind it. I know some devotees, in the name of joking, they'll make us sarcastic comments. And then the other person will get hurt or offended. And that's not nice. Right? But if somebody, I have known devotees who have a lot of sense of humor. For anything or everything, they'll make some jokes. And everybody enjoys that. That's different. That's okay. We can welcome them. Because they're happy devotee and that's the way they deal with that, and they don't have anything in their heart and they get along okay, that's fine. But I don't know the situation you said, you were part of that, you were being joked or you were in the situation, I don't know, that was not clear to me. But if somebody is doing that, we don't want to engage in that kind of conversation if the motive is not good. And there was some criticism behind the joke.
Sure, Mataji. This was, like some devotees had experience, not like just a few, like there were a handful of devotees who felt that way, who had conveyed in the past, Mataji. So I just wanted some clarity, but like you rightly said.
So the next question, how do we stop them from doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not in our position or adhikar to go and directly confront them. I'd make it worse. So in that case, you go to a person who is a neutral, like, both the side, and express your concern, and then they can give you some ideas or guidance how we can, just in a friendly way, polite way, someone can go to that particular devotee and say, I know you're just joking, but I think the other person is getting hurt. So you may want to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the relationship is good, they'll take it nicely. If the relationship is not good, they won't take it nicely. So again, it depends on devotee relationship, how we deal with each other and how we approach. Sometimes we cannot approach directly. We have to go through a senior person. It all depends. Yes, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you so much again for the very wonderful class. And like Prabhuji said, if you can please share your presentation, it will help us to reminisce. Think about it and contemplate, Mataji. Thank you so much. Please come again and give your association. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, if you don't mind, can I add one point what she is asking the question? Don't mind, I am trying to interfere or anything.
No,
I'm just trying to share. Mataji, you are asking about this sense of humor. First of all, when you come to devotional life, that sense of humor is coming because we are proud where we are making others laugh. That is not a good quality. When you come to the devotional life, we are not supposed to, by sense of humor, you want to just attract chocolate boy. They always crack jokes and everybody claps and all. So this way, if the devotee gets hurt, what happens? He will be keeping quiet boy, he's a friend. But devotional service actually Srimati Radharani it happens. Radharani is 100% devotional service. So anybody is a devotee doing devotional service, and Radharani is the heart of Sri Krishna. So anything happens to a devotee, it touches the Srimati Radharani and touches Krishna's heart. So whether you find offensive or not, Krishna will not like it. So every devotee should be very careful. Not only devotees, with anybody else, this sarcastic talk is not good. That itself is a false ego. We want to show that we are more intelligent and we can crack joke and hurt others. So as a devotee, we have to change that attitude. If they are good friend, you can tell that, Prabhu, please don't do this because this hurts. Maybe they will not feel hurt, but it will hurt your devotional service. Krishna will honestly snatch from you the seva. So it is in devotional life, we can joke, which will be glorifying, not finding fault and hurting. If you want to tell somebody to anything, you can call Dadati Pratikati Gukyamakyati Prichadi. You can tell, Prabhu, this is not right. I feel like this. Don't feel bad. If you feel offended, then I'm returning and taking it back. Like that, you can have a chat privately. It is better. Otherwise, this will definitely touch somewhere in there. These marks will come down. Whatever they gain, it will go down because of such offenses, knowingly, unknowingly, grossly, subtly, somewhere it will touch. Sorry, this is what my view.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Next question, Varsha Bhavi Mataji. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Maybe we
Hare
can
Krishna
take
Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mataji. My one question is like, as you're talking about the Vaishnava. So how do we know who's Vaishnava? Because a lot of sampradayas here, a lot of people are doing different kind of Hari Bhakti. So how do we know like this is the Vaishnava? Because like unknowingly we do a lot of aparadh saying other Hari Bhakta, like, oh, they are not the real because they pray to the Nirvikar, they pray to some other form of the Krishna. So how do we know we are not doing that aparadh?
So I mentioned in the during the class also, Vaishnava aparadhis, of course, it's very serious. The devotee of Krishna is Vaishnava. Whoever chanting the holy name of the Lord is Vaishnava. Whoever is doing any seva to the Lord is Vaishnava. So those are definition of Vaishnavas. But the aparadh is also jana aparadh is there, not only for Vaishnavas. We cannot make any aparadh or offense to any living beings that won't please Krishna, because they are part and parcel of Krishna. And, they are dear devotees, and any living beings are dear to Krishna. And if, it doesn't matter, we cannot discriminate, which sampradaya they're coming from. Are they really chanting? Are they initiated devotees? Doesn't matter. Any living beings. So the three categories are, it can be any living beings, any devotees, any pure devotees. We cannot make offense.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you. Mataji, one more small question. Like you say like a devotee aparadh, right? So, Miss, like there are like a senior devotees, as you say, not to do senior devotees especially, but sometimes their behavior is really disturbing and it disturbs the sadhana also. So that time we should ignore, or we should like stay away from them, or how do we handle that type of, because sometimes we don't feel happy when they are doing decades of sadhana, but I don't get like that positiveness or the positive feeling from them. I feel like I'm getting negative out of that. So how do we disconnect ourselves from that?
So if I understood your question correct, there are some senior devotees, their behavior you perceive that's not right, and it disturbs you because they're in a senior devotee position and it affects your sadhana.
Yes, Mataji.
First thing we can do is work on yourself first. I know it may be sounding a little heavy, kind of. Sometimes, it's better, we can work on ourselves than others. Do I have that fault that I am seeing in others? Sometimes we do that. We have that fault and we see it in others. And then it's repeatedly happening and you're really affected. You need protection. Whether it's your fault, their fault, that's okay. You need protection because your sadhana is getting affected. Then you take you seek appropriate guidance. If the relationship is good with the senior devotee and you can write and ask, I feel something in my heart. Do you feel like we can have some open discussion and we can work it out? Maybe they may not have any intention, or their behavior may not have anything to do. Maybe it's just externally like that. So sometimes having that, but if you're not comfortable going to them directly, then you approach a person that you feel comfortable with, of their level or senior than their level. So that way you can get some guidance how to move about that problem, like issue. How do we deal this, basically, you can do that. So that's number 2. Number 3, it's not helping your Krishna consciousness, in spite of advice, guidance, and everything you've done, it's not helping your Krishna consciousness. It's okay to have boundaries. It's sometimes healthy for you and the other person also, for their Krishna consciousness and for your Krishna consciousness, having some healthy boundaries. Not to have close association and healthy boundaries, but internally you have a respectful attitude towards them. You respect them for who they are, because everybody is, they have their own baggage. We are all, carrying our own baggage and working towards Krishna. Everybody's journey is different. So they may be having their own journey. You're having your own journey. So I want to keep it short. I think it's a public forum. I don't want to give more than this.
Yes,
so,
Mataji, this really helps.
3 things you can do. First, to work yourself. Number 2, get some guidance of directly approaching them, or get some guidance depending upon your relationship with them. And 3rd, have some boundaries and have some relationship boundaries and, for our Krishna conscious nourishment. Actually, it's 7:40. I'm so sorry. I would like to, pause now for today. If any, one question we can take, but I have to go for another service. So
yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Sukkar Krishna Prabhu, do you have any
Mataji,
questions?
for Vaishnava, there's a definition. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Ante Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, somebody asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the definition of a Vaishnava? He just told in one line, Utite bushite khaite shuite joto tata naam lo, desh kal niyam nahi, sarva siddhi hoy. The meaning is, one is doing Nirantara Krishna naam jar bhadone, she Vaishnava thake sada Sri Krishna charane. One devotee who asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Vaishnava definition, he told that not only Mathai Tilak and Kantimala and dress attire is important, but Nirantara Krishna naam jar bhadone, she Vaishnava Shreshto Bhajate Sri Charan, Hari Charan. That means one who is chanting always, and it is not just Tilak and this thing, but who is always chanting, he is the real Vaishnava. The definition Mahaprabhu had given. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Ante Leela, last chapter.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Shyam Gauri Mataji, do you have anything to add, Mataji? Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much for wonderful class, Mataji. It is a general topic. Everybody has to go through this. Maybe it is good to hear again the class, Mataji. Thank you so much for giving your valuable association. And please come oftenly, Mataji. Thank you so much for arranging. Shyam Gauri Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. Very beautiful presentation and very nice analysis about the Vaishnava Aparadha and all Aparadhas we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Let us pay obeisances to Mataji and all the devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha.
Kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitana pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Vrajesvari Pran Devi ki jai. All glories. All
Jai.
glories. Hare
Jai.
Krishna. Jai. Thank you so
Jai.
much.
Gauranga, Nityananda,
Gauranga, Nityananda,
Nityananda,
Gauranga, Nityananda, Gauranga,
Nityananda.
Radhe Radhe.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Jai Jai
everyone for
Sri
joining
Radhe
Hare
today's
Shyam.
Krishna, Hare
class.
Krishna.
Sabko mile Vrindavan
Hare
Dham.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Radhe
Hare
Radhe.
Thank you
Krishna.
everyone
Ram
for
Hare.
joining
Krishna
today's
Krishna
class. We'll
Krishna
meet
Hare
again
Hare.
tomorrow. Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Shyama
Thank
Prabhuji
you.
and
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.